Welcome, everyone. This is Jim Spora with ISSIP, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. And today we have the amazing San Jose State University Management of Information Systems team. And they've been working hard for the last several weeks, actually probably over 10 or 12 weeks on this student CEO project. And they've created a very creative presentation, which I've reviewed, and now they're going to present it to us. So without further ado, Lewis, over to you.
All right, hello everyone. Just to get started, today we're going to be going over how our white paper and everything corresponds with academic industry collaboration, especially alongside ISSIP and the AI Collab program. So to start us off, our title page here, from disposable coursework to compounding innovation, a structured model that's going to transform students, mentors, and organizations into a continuously learning system where every cohort is going to be able to build on the last cohort. Okay, so the problem that we face today, the academic to industry collaboration is broken. Today's model treats student work as disposable and mentor time as a teaching resource, and not a strategic asset. So something that our group this year has noticed is that practically 0% of the knowledge from previous cohorts and previous semesters is retained between semesters. So essentially, every cohort is going to start from zero. It's not very scalable by design. Collaboration kind of resets every semester. There's no continuity. There's no compounding knowledge, no compounding understanding of what really goes on. The student work kind of goes to waste. The projects are graded, they get submitted and forgotten. And then obviously long-term value because of that is going to be zero. Mentor time is misused. Sessions are teaching fundamentals kind of instead of delivering like strategic guidance. Knowledge really leaks through every cycle as well. There are plenty of insights and artifacts from one cohort that never are ever going to reach the next cohort.
So here are the
Uh,
six structure.
I think you skipped the slide.
oh, there we are.
Yeah, so in this generation, we have like a two-sided alignment problem. On one side, we have students who graduate with degrees, certifications, and other strong credentials. They're optimized for academic success, but not professional readiness. So when they step out to the real world, they don't have like the ability to apply what they learn to a real world problem. A lot of students don't have the industry experience that companies want. And on the other side, we have companies that are hiring based on resumes, cover letters, and their capabilities on what they have on written on those papers. This makes it difficult for a company to realize a person's actual potential. Companies prioritize past job titles since they are easily comparable and scalable. A resume shows where someone has been and what they've been exposed to, but not know how the person actually thinks, how they handle decisions under pressure, and many others. So as a result, companies have limited visibility into a person's potential and find it difficult to assess their skills. In the end, we are at a constant persistent mismatch between what education reduces and what industry needs.
So here are the six structural barriers that they need to be fixed. These aren't just motivational problems, but they're systematic design flaws that any sustainable model should have in order to accomplish or solve this issue at hand. So first, time constraints. Mentors can't sustain engagement without streamlined AI-assisted workflows, and this can create mental shortcuts with less engagement time to work with each other as a whole. Two is inconsistent prep. Students arrive at varying readiness levels, producing uneven mentor sessions. So, assuming that you would go to a session unprepared, you would have no knowledge of knowing what's going on at hand. And this can be a problem when it comes to engagement and time as a whole. No knowledge persistence, following up to inconsistent preparation. Without a system to preserve artifacts, every cohort rebuilds from scratch, it becomes a problem. And for the long run, no value would be created as a whole. Unclear return on investments. Companies lack measurable returns, making sustained mentor investment hard to justify. So there's no clear communication, then it makes it unclear where the return on investment would happen over time. Confidentiality limits. Real business problems can't be shared openly. Authenticity suffers. Now, if we're confined to a limited amount of topics, or is it just because of confidentiality, because of, secrecy or NDA? This can reduce the factor for engagements or having to share the knowledge to be worked together as a whole. Short academic timelines. Semester windows compresses complex work, sacrificing depth for deadlines. And this can be a problem because time is not forever, time will always be moving fast, and with limited time can lead to limited value being created as a whole. Now, for the model, students lead, mentors advise. AI does the heavy lifting. So now we are fundamentally framing the roles of who does what for every hour of attention to make sure that every second spent is value-driven created. So let's frame students as founders, as they're the ones to own the project. They make the calls for outcomes, and they're not here just for a grade at school. They are to simulate what it's like to be a real student CEO. Now, mentors, they're going to be the strategic advisors. They're going to shift from teaching to advising so that they can prove to themselves that they can provide the direction for the student CEOs and guide them towards success. It's not just instruction, it's to set them up for the real world future. And fundamentally, AI, aka the digital workers, where they will be doing the main work that preps up 70 to 80% of work applied, so that more time will be spent for students and more mentors engaging together. It's not just a course redesign, it's a system redesign.
So we have this three sprint loop designed to maximize the output while keeping the mentor time minimal. The first sprint is the discovery, where the student gonna research and define like real problems. Second is development, where the student can design and test the solutions. That one is gonna be the delivery, where they produce output like white papers and presentations. What make this efficient is that about like 70 to 80% of the present preparation is like handled by the AI. So the mentor session can stay short around to like 30 minutes per week. Each cycle is going to produce around 4 artifacts. And more importantly, the work going to build and improve over the time. Next slide. So to support this system, we have like four main frameworks, with each solving that key challenge. The mentor ops, which is going to improve the mentor efficiency and consistency. CEO certify, which evaluate the student readiness and then like leadership abilities. Sync secure, which allow the students to work with the realistic data while protecting the confidentiality. Pre-clear IP gonna reduce the legal frictions and speed up the collaboration between mentor and student CEOs. Together, these frameworks gonna make the system more scalable and easier to operate.
Alrighty, so student work should compound and not disappear. So as mentioned before, traditional programs, they produce a linear output, which means that the students, they learn something and then it just disappears once they graduate. And we don't want that to happen. We want kind of the knowledge to stick with them. So in a way, every cohort builds upon the last, which means that every new groups of students, we want them to kind of take knowledge from the previous class. So, for example, for us, we're doing this project, and hopefully the students after us will kind of take this presentation or project and learn from it and build upon it and really create something new from our work. And so what we're doing is what compounds is that our research artifacts and white papers, mentor feedback logs and patterns, business model iterations, AI training data workflows, and student performance benchmarks. And which means that these things that we are currently doing and the feedback that we're receiving, we want to transfer that to the next class. And from our graph, this is an illustrative graph. It kind of compares the gray line, which is the traditional, where students don't really take anything from the project, while for the red line, it shows kind of how this project can compound and students the following years could kind of take knowledge from us and build upon that. Next slide, please. So for no lose framework and the work still ahead. So every interaction we want in this project, we want it to create value, even when outcomes are uncertain. And there's obviously some things that we're sure of, but there are issues that we're still solving within this project. So kind of what's guaranteed is talent signal, which means that company are able to kind of get a real-time outlook on how students are making choices and how that can help them. Skill development. Students build leadership strategy and communication through real work. So within this project, students like us build leadership and are able to communicate and work together with one another. We assign each other roles and kind of dedicated tasks on what work needs to be done. And then as well as we combined our ideas and communicated well to form this project. And relationship building. Authentic mentor-student bonds formed through shared problem solving. So obviously our sponsor Jim here obviously helped us and mentored well and gave us great insight on the work that we were doing. So that's really important in this framework as well. And the issues that we're still solving is the AI tool coordination. So obviously managing multiple AI system was a challenge, and I think that will still be a challenge because there's just so much AI tools to use. So kind of knowing what does what, it's so important. And student coordination, aligning team dynamics and accountability across asynchronous environments. So obviously we all kind of work differently in different environments, separately in our own room, in our own environment, but being able to kind of meet in one room and just communicate what we learned is really important. And that's something that we should continue doing. Mentor communication is obviously very important. Maintaining engagement with the mentor is very important, but as well as we don't want to heavily rely on them. So hopefully students should be able to work well together and just be able to help each other out first before depending on the mentor for any other feedback. And early stage uncertainty. Obviously, I think my group faced this a lot in the beginning, just defining the problem and then building a way to solve the problem was a big challenge. So definitely an issue to look at when other students work on this. And then learning versus outcomes. Obviously, for us, we want to be able to learn in a free environment, make mistakes. Obviously, it's very important, but as well as knowing that companies will want to know what we learned from that mistake. So just being able to learn from mistakes and demonstrate how we did is very important.
All right, so for our vision, we want to really emphasize that student work should be really building upon itself while in these teams and just not going to waste. So for students, we want them to keep on gaining this executive decision-making experience as well as portfolio level professional work since they'll be able to show that off to companies on their resumes and just be a credible talent signal for employers because if employers see that, they're going to be more likely to hire them. And for companies, what they get is early access to vetted, capable talent, reduced hiring risk via real work, and as well as fresh ideas from outside the org because like we know the potential that students have in all these ideas that are just going to waste. And for the future, what will eventually come out of this is a multi-university collaboration network, as well as global knowledge commons for mentorship. So that everyone can access, and students can gain access to at any time, as well as a scalable replicable system that everyone can share and companies can have access to. Yeah, and we're all just helping to build the next stage of student and mentor industry collaboration.
Great. Very good. Very, very good. Anything else, Louis, before we jump into my comments and a couple questions?
No. Other than that, we are ready for questions.
All right, great. Yeah. Let's step through the slides one more time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just slide by slide like we typically do. So, yeah, this is good. It's really what we're trying to do at ISSIP is get industry academic collaboration to work better, get more industry mentors to increase the quality and quantity of industry mentors that want to work with student teams. And exactly right, we don't want that student work to go to waste either. Um, Next slide. Yeah, the two-sided alignment problem, exactly. And I would say in some cases we even have a three-sided alignment problem because we also have the faculty advisors who sometimes, they have their research agenda and publications. So definitely two-sided and maybe three-sided. Next slide. Yeah, great summary here. These are the 6 structural barriers to fix. Perfect. Next slide. And this is the breakthrough idea is now that we live in a world of AI and it's getting better generation over generation, let's start thinking of the students as CEOs creating this. And I really like, from an ISIP perspective, it's not just a system redesign, it's a service system. All of the service system interactions have to be redesigned. So this is very, very good. Next slide. Yep, we do the weekly sprints, and there's a lot more that could be said here, but I thought you netted it down really, really nicely here on this slide. Next slide. Um, yeah, these are, just to make it clear, I don't know that everybody understood. As student CEOs, you created business model canvases for a bunch of startup ideas. And each week when we were doing the sprints, one or all of you would present your version of the white paper with your business model canvas ideas for startups. And these 4 are fantastic. They are um, a distillation of a much larger space of startup ideas that you looked at. And again, I think maybe if I could suggest one slide that you might want to add besides, the one slide summary or something is maybe just having a business model canvas or something like that. So it helps people understand that each of these was developed into a 9-box business model canvas that was both quantitative and realistic. Next slide. This is a great slide. Exactly what we want. Building. And in the white paper, I know you've got that section of the previous AICollabs with San Jose State University and other universities. One worked on digital twins. Actually, the San Jose State University students that built the first AI digital twin of Jim, me, did a fantastic job. And this compounding effect of building systems, pieces of systems, elements of systems, startups that will help the AICollabs get better and better and better and accumulate. This slide shares that really, really well. Next slide. Yep, this is a great one too. You covered a lot of details in this. It was good. Next slide. Yeah, I think this is your last slide, and this is the call to action. Beautiful. So yeah, very good. Like I said, I can think of maybe 2 or 3 little slides that could be added, but what you did was great. Now I'd like to shift to asking each of you to present your answers to 2 questions. And, kind of from the perspective of either a job that you currently have, you may have soon, or, an aspirational future job. And maybe also each of you could say your name. I don't think there was a slide that had all your names and pictures. So um, maybe just and I'll start with Lewis. So you go first, then I'll do Lewis, James, Jonathan, Aaron, Jackson, and Mung, just because that's the order I see you in my participant list. So I'll call you in that order, and just say your name and talk a little bit about the job either today or future. And then the 2 questions are really, what did you learn about using artificial intelligence in in your work, and how do you think that's going to change in the future? And the second question is, we emphasize the importance of human to human communication is important too. So what did you learn about student CEO and mentor or any other type of human to human communication? Um, and Lewis, introduce
Yeah,
yourself a little bit there.
Hi, my name is Lewis. I am an IT technician right now. And just to get straight into that first question, um, essentially throughout the entire semester, this is probably my first like real semester of just straight AI in a class and trying to work with multiple AIs to kind of have them either work together or use them for research and then have some of them for different roles just throughout working with the white paper. And so using the AI, the digital workers that I used, I actually learned a lot about how kind of collaboration itself, like if I applied it to the second question, it's kind of essentially team working between, let's imagine the digital workers are members of a group, and they're kind of working together. You're having them communicate with each other and really analyze how they should work and how to kind of form that white paper together. And actually, coming from the project itself, I recently did just start the IT technician position, and I've been using actually a lot of AI to kind of help me ensure that everything that I'm doing is proper and correct. So I'm using three agents right now to kind of guide me through a couple of problems that I'm either having at work or just anything in general. And then yeah, getting into the second question about communication and teamwork. Towards the beginning of the semester, I know that the group itself kind of did struggle a little bit with communication, and kind of just processing times and trying to figure out like, oh, like what times work best to meet and whether we should be doing like daily stand-ups or daily just reviews with each other. And I kind of we kind of sat everybody down in class and we had like a little peer-to-peer conversation, just really about communication. What we learned was that, what helped us most would be just daily reviews of what we did throughout the day. Even if we didn't do anything, there's no judgment in that, right? Just knowing that somebody did something or somebody didn't do anything and what our goals is for the next day, which is really nice. And yeah, so just coming together and communicating with each other is really cool.
Okay, Lewis, I got one follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
Could you stop sharing the screen though, so our pictures will be bigger on the screen there?
Yeah.
Um, so, did you ever use one of your AIs to say, "Hey, I've got to have a conversation with so and so about such and such. Can you help generate the conversation?" Did you ever do that?
Um, Not in class, but I have done outside of class, like with friends and stuff, because I don't know, maybe I have like an issue or something with them. And it's not really like oh, I type in what I want to say and then I read off what the AI says, gives back to me. It's kind of getting like a baseline of like a general direction, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like reading straight from our digital agents.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Okay, so let's see. I can't tell if the order changed, but James, you're next on my list right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, hello everyone. My name is James. So, I've been an inspiring business analyst, IT support, anywhere around that field of information and technology systems as a whole for management. So, to start off with the first question, the most important thing I learned about using multiple AI digital workers on this project is feels like a simulation of how I can try to orchestrate digital workers to communicate with each other. Do I want to start communicating with everyone at once? Or do I want to make a streamlined process of let's delegate this role like Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity to do certain tasks? And then we would go around and comprise what the summarized work that could be produced in this project. So I think that it just feels like working with digital workers is like working with your real life workers in this project. What are they capable of doing? What are they specialized in? Those are some of the essential questions that I would ask myself before taking the initiative approach of working with multiple AI digital workers. Now, for the second question is that when it comes to communicating with other people, like team members and advisors from this project, it's important to understand that there are circumstances to when we're able to communicate with each other. There are challenges to when we're not able to communicate with each other, or the fact that we need to get certain deadlines done even while being in time crunch, or the conditions of communication being a hindrance to some of us. So if I were to learn that when it comes to communicating, there's always going to be challenges, the same thing that could be applied to real life work as a whole.
Absolutely. Thanks, James. Jonathan, you're up next.
Hello, yes. I'm Jonathan, and I want to be hopefully a future business analyst or IT analyst, and hopefully in the long term become a project manager for like a technical company. And I think you asked very great questions. I think for the first question, I think the most important thing is that I learned is that using multiple AI tools isn't knowing which tool to use, it's knowing kind of how to combine them all. Because every AI has their strengths. So in a way, for this project, we kind of treat them like junior analysts. We assign them different roles based on what their strengths are. And then kind of taking all the outputs and synthesizing them into one answer is what I took out of it. Just kind of combining all the answers and kind of reviewing them was great. And in terms of how this impacts my future role is I think that for the analyst positions, I'll be pulling data a lot from a lot of different systems and kind of being able to analyze different outputs is important. So this looking at different AI tools really helped me do that. And then from this, obviously taking all the data into recommendations is very important. So this project gave me, I think, a very good framework on how to take different outputs and combine them all into one recommendation. And as for the second question, I think the most important communication lesson I took from this project is that alignment at the beginning of the project is very important as it saves us a lot of confusion later on. As when our goals and expectations aren't defined right away, I think that you kind of waste a lot of time kind of figuring that out and you backtrack a lot. So obviously knowing your priorities from the beginning is very important, especially when doing a project like this. And I think that throughout this project, I also learned how to adjust my communication depending on the audience. So just kind of simplifying the technical aspects to non-technical people was very important, and kind of being surgical on the way, um, kind of presenting to people, knowing what people needs, what information, and knowing what not to say to other people in terms of not kind of just overpiling on them and just, yeah, I learned that as well as you don't want to overload a non-technical person. And so how this applies to my job as a future analyst is that um, being an MIS major, you're obviously in between business and tech. So being able to kind of communicate between both sides is very important. So I think that with this project, it applies to this job really well as I learned how to communicate between different parties in a cross-functional way.
Great. And I just want to add, because you
Mhm,
kind of said it without saying it, so I'm going to say it
mhm,
in a way that I think some of the ISIP community will understand. When you're using the multiple AI agents, sometimes they give varying quality of answers.
mhm,
Kind of pick the best of each of those and you integrate it into a new, better answer. And then you go
mhm.
back to the same five AIs and say, hey, here's a better answer of what I was looking for. Now generate something even better. And so
Yeah.
iteratively go back. And the same for working with people. Sometimes you're talking to somebody, they're not getting it. And so sometimes what you have to do is get a good example and say, hey, here's a good example of what I was hoping you could help me with, or share on. So sometimes it's both for the AI workers and the people give
Mhm.
an example of what a good answer looks like. This is what I'm after, can up the quality of the conversations and interactions. So thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Okay, Aaron, you're next on my list. Again, I don't know if the order changed, but right now you're the next on the list, Aaron.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron. I am an aspiring data analyst, and one of the most important things I have learned from this project about using multiple AI digital workers is that is learning how to actually utilize them effectively. Because before going into this project, I did not know how to maybe use AI digital workers as effectively. I only ever use like ChatGPT for my work, but after coming out of this project, I can safely say that learning how to delegate the work, for example, like using Claude to generate HTML documents or Gemini for research, that has left me coming out of this project with a new understanding about AI digital workers, as well as potential for like applying that to like data analytics, like say for example, like getting those data sets and putting them into multiple digital workers and then continuously iterating them in order to generate the picking out the best parts and generating the best possible final set. So yeah, that was something pretty useful that I learned from this project. And the most important thing I learned about communicating with other people for my team for this project was just being clear and upfront about what you're doing, because if you're not, then nobody's going to know if you're doing anything, which is something that I struggled with and actively am trying to make up for that. So yeah, and if you're not clear in a business setting, then nobody's going to know about what you did or your achievements either. So, and also delegation, trying to not just to the AI digital workers, but to other people as well, figuring out their strengths and just making the best possible use of those.
Great, Aaron. Yeah, you're what you said reminds me of me when I was closer to your age and how much, I would work on stuff on the side and then we'd get in meetings and I wouldn't tell anybody about what I had done, because it was, it didn't come up. And learning how to concisely share, okay, I explored these three things this week. Do you want me to talk about any of them in detail? Learning to get comfortable saying that was a great learning experience for me when I was about your age. Um, all right, Jackson, what are you thinking?
I think for me, I think the most important thing I learned when using multiple AI digital workers that all AI digital workers are different. At first I thought ChatGPT was like the most superior AI worker I could use and it could help me solve all my problems. But then as I continue to mess around with it throughout like the project and in school, I realized that there are many more AI digital workers that can make my life much easier. So for example, DeepSeek was great at creating quantitative data. And I think that's like great for like Aaron's role if you're like a data analyst. And maybe that can help you in that line of work. And with this project, I used a lot of cloud AI to help me structure my work. So my takeaway from this is definitely experiment with all the different AIs as each AI behaves differently and it has its pros and cons. And then for communication, I think the most important thing I learned is just to communicate. I think communication is key to success, especially in a team setting. If something were to come up, talking to team members necessary to catch you up on your assignments or any concepts that you missed. Communication with your team member also allows you to see their perspective on the problem, and you can take note on what you like and dislike, and you probably use those parts and improve your ideas.
Great, Jackson. Yeah, and you've said it and others have said it, but I'll just emphasize it. I think you all did a great job of learning the strengths and weaknesses of the various tools because they're all kind of general purpose. But Claude's a little bit better at the code and like Aaron said, the HTML and Gemini when you're doing some research or whatever. And you brought up DeepSeek, which wasn't even one that we used, but DeepSeek is fantastic for analytics sort of stuff. And just learning the strengths and weaknesses. Um, Sometimes allows you to use the multiple digital workers to get that ramp going, that, show the one that's a little weak in this something good, but then it starts getting better. So you can start doing that iterative improvement. So great, great stuff, Jackson. Mom, what are you thinking?
Hello, my name is Mao. Okay, the one main thing I learned about when working with the multiple digital AI agents that they work together as a system, like since each has like their own strength and weaknesses. Like ChatGPT might be good for the research, and other might be good for like formatting the documents. So comparing and like refining their outputs can improve like a work quality. But I believe the human judgment is still like needed and like future career, like especially like data analysts or like business technology roles. I see AI as like a more like tool to make the work more efficient and like support the decision while I remain like responsible for the like accuracy of the data they provide. For the second question, I believe the leadership and clear coordination really like improve the team communications. Like Louis and James, they help guide the directions and keep us on the track in during the project, so which make everything like more efficient. So I also learned that being clear and prepare, especially with the advisor, make the communication more effective. It's gonna be important in my like future career when working in the teams and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of prep can make a huge difference, even 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just knowing that little bit extra edge makes you more comfortable too in the meetings. Good work, team. Great. We're in the home stretch, so and we're a little bit over, so I'm just gonna wrap up the recording now. Thank you all for sharing your talent and time with the ISSIP community. You've made really good progress on this project, so thank you so much. And we'll talk next week at our usual time, and we'll go back to the other Zoom. But thank you all. Bye for now.